A very good afternoon. A very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for coming in today to be with us on this webinar. This is a ZIMA webinar, and ZIMA stands for the Zimbabwe Ministers Association. So I want to welcome you today, ladies and gentlemen, to this webinar. It's the COVID-19 vaccination dilemma in the African communities. As ZIMA, as an association, we put up this platform so that there is space for us to discuss, for us to receive information, so that we make informed decisions about what's happening around us as regards the pandemic. So I'm going to introduce you to the panel today that we have in our midst today. So we are very honored today to have Dr. Brighton Chireka as one of us, as one of the panelists today, to give a perspective. I want to introduce you to Dr. Brighton Chireka. Some of you have seen him. Some of you have sat in some sessions where he was delivering lectures, or he is involved in many things. So Dr. Brighton Chireka is an international health consultant and a primary care physician with over 20 years experience. He is a founding fellow of the Faculty of Medical Leadership and Management and a member of the Royal College of General Practitioners. He is the health ambassador for ZimThrive and is the founding chairperson of Zimbabwean Diaspora Health Alliance. He is currently championing the plight of the BMA staff in the UK by facilitating a weekly platform for them to share their experiences and support one another. He is the 2015 Zimbabwe Achievers Awards UK Community Champion. In 2016, Brighton won the Blogger of the Year award for the Zimbabwe Music and Arts Awards UK, ZIMA UK, for his articles on raising health awareness. In 2018, Brighton received a BAFTA People's Choice Award for outstanding contribution in the society. In 2019, he received the Icon recognition from C-Hub Magazine Creativity and Arts Awards in recognition of his selfless contributions and voluntary services to the BME community. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want us thumbs up and let's welcome our very own Dr. Brighton Chireka. Make some noise wherever you are, on Facebook, on YouTube, whichever platform you are watching from. Let's welcome Dr. Brighton Chireka. And we are also honored today to have in our midst Dr. Shingai Pepereke. Let's welcome Dr. Shingai Pepereke as she is going to give us information and knowledge and wisdom as far as the subject that we are here for is concerned. So Dr. Shingai Pepereke is a specialist registrar. I'm waiting for my technical team to put Dr. Shingai Pepereke, if you can, and highlight her. So Dr. Shingai Pepereke is a specialist registrar in nephrology. She trained at University of Leicester Medical School and is a member of the Royal College of Physicians in the UK. She rotated through a wide variety of clinical specialties in her training before settling to specialize in kidney medicine. Her clinical experience is diverse. She is also passionate about health education. She is committed to impacting communities through empowering individuals to actively prevent disease and promote their health and quality of life. She is keen on creating awareness about good health related behavior and well-being in the Afro-Caribbean community. In addition to that, she is also a clinical entrepreneur fellow, expanding her role in leadership through involvement in healthcare-related business. I know our technical team is battling behind the scenes to then put her, whenever you are able, you are going to put Dr. Shingai so that people can put Dr. Shingai in perspective. Now, let me go to, we are also honored today to have Dr. Nometa Sunday in our midst as one of the panelists. So help me welcome Dr. Nometa Sunday today. Dr. Nometa Sunday holds a doctorate in philosophy in religion and social transformation from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. He is a pastor by calling and a theologian by training, and likes to describe himself as an African practical theologian. Nometa is a former academic dean of Living Waters Theological Seminary in Zimbabwe. He has published extensively scholarly articles and book chapters in accredited academic journals. You can go to www.researchgate.net, profile Nometa Sunday, you will find him there. He is an adjunct lecturer at the Zimbabwe Open University. His research areas include, but not limited to, disability studies, theology, missions, gender, and diaspora studies. Currently, he is a researcher fellow of at the College of Human Science Research Institute for Theology and Religion at the University of South Africa. He is also a senior pastor at the Apostolic Faith Mission International Ministries, Coventry Assembly. Nometa is married to Lynette Sunday, and they have 2 children. The Lord has blessed them with 2 children. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dr. Nometa Sunday today. So, you might also want to be ready as these brothers and our sister are going to bring the discussion today. Get ready with questions, get ready to interact, get ready to be involved. We want to make this one of the most lively sessions, and that is caused by our interaction and our involvement. Don't leave any question out, bring every question, and let's make use of this platform, and let's make use of our learned friends. So today, I also want to introduce you to my friend Hartness Samshonga, who is part of the panelists, but maybe much more in the background today. Hartness is a well-respected ministry leader who is also an entrepreneur and a theologian and a management scholar. He is the founder and senior leader of Millennium Harvest Church in Northeast England, and is involved in a number of Christian ministry and academic activities and programs in the UK and abroad. Hartness is also the founder of Bevo Support International, an organization that is involved in raising, training, developing, and mentoring ministry leaders and consulting for church and ministry organizations and theological schools on bivocational ministry, training, development, and research in the UK and abroad. His business interests include health and social care, health, tourism, and business management consultancy. Hartness is an accomplished scholar and has published various scientific articles in international academic journals on subjects that include theology, leadership, and management, and professional burnout. Hartness is an alumni of the Harvard University Kennedy School of Government and is a member of a number of professional and academic bodies. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are our learned brothers and sisters that we have today to help us navigate this subject that we have. We are talking about the challenge that we are facing today the pandemic, the COVID vaccination dilemma that we have in the African community. There is a hesitancy in our community, and we have been affected disproportionately by this pandemic. And we then thought of providing this platform so that we can have information. So this is David Midzi, pastor at Living Faith International Ministries in Kobe. I know some of you might not know me. Some of you have interacted with me. I'm a pastor by calling, an engineer, mechanical engineer by profession. And I'm so excited to be part of Zima, where we are bringing many together, not only ministers of the gospel, but you minister in different ways. Some are ministering as doctors. You are an apostle in the marketplace, and Zima provides a platform where different ministers in different sectors of life come together for empowerment, for education, for equipping, and we challenge each other to be better. So we are going to be better ministers of religion, and you're going to be a better business person, a better educator, a better everything that you might bring to the platform. So today we want to kick off. Help me to welcome my friend, Dr. Hartness Samshonga, as he is going to give us a brief about Zima as an organization before we go into the crux of the matter today. So help me have Hartness. Welcome, Hartness. I give this time to you to take over.
Thank you very much, Dave. I appreciate your introduction of all the panel members, including myself. And I mean, like yourself, I'm really excited that as Zima, we are hosting this webinar today for such, I would say, very important subject that is pertinent to the times that we are in now. I'm just going to be here for a very short time because I want to give some information about Zima. Just to build up on what Dave has already started to share with you. So as Zima, it's an association that exists to support the well-being of ministers, promote networking, cultivate and safeguard high standards of ministerial effectiveness and professionalism. So that's why we're here as an organization for people with Zimbabwean heritage. So it doesn't matter what generation you are. If you have any links or heritage with Zimbabwe, then this is the association for you. And it has various streams. You see, it's ongoing work that we are building. We launched it last year, and we have actually made lots of achievements. I mean, a lot of it is actually background to set up some governance for the organization itself. So the key message that I want to share with the audience today is that as a body, we are actually building. So we do have an executive team, which I'm part of, and so is David, who's moderating today, and Dr. Sunday. We also have Anthony Tembo and Dr. Ngwiza, who's obviously not on this panel today. So we are in a process of building the leadership for people with skills. You might be a minister, you might not be a minister. We want you to get in touch with us. There are some specific areas that will require people with expertise. It's going to be voluntary. So we want people want to volunteer in administration. We also have a domain of health and well-being. So we've got doctors. If you are interested in coming and support from that perspective, we are really building, and it's one of the key areas that we want to promote the health and well-being of ministers. There's also learning, research, and development. If you have skills in education, higher education, and training, it doesn't have to be theology. It's the skills that we're actually looking for. So if you're out there, you want to be part of what we are doing, we have, there is space for suitably qualified people who want to be part of the cause that we are championing. There's also, we're looking for people with experience in governance and compliance, because it is one of the key areas as well that we want to to receive actually high standards. So governance and compliance, I know that it's quite a broad subject. If you have any skills, experience, expertise that links to governance and compliance, please get in touch with us. You can inbox us through Facebook. We are building a website. It should be available soon, so we will share it. Entrepreneurship is one of the things that we want to promote. So if you are an entrepreneur, somebody in business, we want to harness those skills so that we can develop that within the ministerial body. I know a good number of ministers are already involved in business, but we want people who had and they are part of that department so that we can move the organization forward. So our overall vision is to unite, inspire, and equip ministers for more effective ministry in God's kingdom. So that's the main reason why I'm here today. I don't want to take much time. I want to leave the panel to do what they are here to do. It's a really exciting webinar. As you appreciate quite some very good content here, and I hope we're all going to engage. So I'm going to leave back to Dave, who is moderating, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Hartness. Indeed, it's an exciting day today. I'm really looking forward to having a great time today. I've been waiting for this day for a long time, and we have seasoned doctors that we have today that are going to answer any question that you might have. And like I said earlier on, feel free to ask any question. Don't leave it for another day. We have today to utilize and maximize on the information that we're going to receive. So I'm going to leave you again in the hands of Dr. Brighton Chireka and Dr. Shingai Pepereke as they take us through what they have for us as we just wait to be equipped by every information that they have today as we prepare to ask questions as well. So over to you, Dr. Brighton Chireka. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Pastor Midi, for such a wonderful introduction. And thank you everyone who has joined us this afternoon. Today we are going to be talking about vaccination, which is something that we need to be aware, all of us. I just want to put a disclaimer. I don't work for Pfizer. I don't work for Sinopharm. I don't work for AstraZeneca. What I'm going to be talking today is my personal views, my experiences, my knowledge, and also I'm not here to force, coerce, or do anything to force people to take the vaccine. What I'm here for is to share information and try to unpack this dilemma so that we are able to make informed decisions. There's no question that is daft. Please feel free to share your question in the chat box. Any question, please, because we want to be informed. We want to learn. This is a conversation. So join in the conversation.
Just while you're there, I also want to say I have no conflict of interest as well. I'm not affiliated with any of the pharmaceutical organizations, and I'm also here just to share in the knowledge and to answer any questions as a panel member.
Thank you very much. As you see that I'm with my colleague, Dr. Shingai, we are here together. We will be interacting so that you get a good overview of what's going on in terms of vaccination. We know that what is happening at the moment, we have got a lot of information. It's good to have information. We do share information with our friends. The social media, it's a good platform to share information. What we are finding is that because something has been shared by my pastor, something has been shared by my mother, something has been shared by my friend, something has been shared by someone I know, we take it as at first value. We think it is correct. So that is where we get into problems, because not everything that is shared on social media is correct. There is misinformation. Misinformation, it's unintentional mistakes that could be made. But sometimes people do what we call disinformation, whereby they are fabricating, it's a deliberate manipulation of information to further their own agenda. But sometimes you also see whereby there's a deliberate character deformation. There's also deliberate changing of the context, or changing of pictures, changing of videos that we are seeing happening on social media. So we just need to be on high alert to be able to assess this information that we are getting. There's a lot which we can talk about information disorders, which we need a day to talk about it. But I think I've covered most of it. There's also fabricated content, manipulated content, false content, and then false connection. For example, you see a headline saying vaccine has killed 20 people. And then when you go to the body of that article, you find out that there is nothing, there's no mention about the link with the headline. But the headline is taken to attract, to cause panic. And most of us, we hardly go to that link. We hardly read the whole story. We just go by that headline. So that's what is happening a lot. And we find people are making decisions from that little information, from that misleading content. So we have to be on high alert, to be vigilant about how information is being misused. The reason why we are always passionate about what is happening in our community is because when we look at COVID, COVID did not spare us. COVID disproportionately affected the BEM community, the Black people, the Black Africans. We were affected by COVID in a disproportionate way. So that's why we are passionate about it, that, okay, we lost our loved ones. These people there are actually people that we have lost. You may remember some of them, and may their souls rest in peace. So when we talk about COVID-19, we are not talking about something that is fiction. We are talking something that is so dear to our hearts, something that is so close to us, something that make us pause and reflect, remembering our colleagues, remembering our loved ones that passed on. When you look at these people that passed on, these were young people, elderly people, middle-aged people, healthy people, people with underlying conditions, people who were known, people who were not known. What I'm trying to say is that COVID does not segregate. COVID does not respect borders. From China to Zimbabwe, we have all affected. From South Africa to United Kingdom, we have all been affected. From Brazil to India, we have all been affected. So you can see that it is a pandemic which is not respecting people, which is not respecting borders. So we had to look at the experiences of Zimbabweans in the United Kingdom. We did a paper which we published, and we are grateful to the health workers from Zimbabwe who are based in the United Kingdom, who shared with us their experiences, and their experiences were traumatic. They told us that they were being segregated. They told us that they were burning out. They told us there was emotional trauma. They told us that they felt vulnerable. They told us all the challenges that they were facing during the COVID pandemic. So when you hear people sharing their experiences, telling you about their challenges, so we cannot think that this pandemic, it's not real. This pandemic, it is real. So when we look at vaccines, We know from Zimbabwe, from Africa, from wherever we live, that vaccines have been with us for quite a long time. Vaccines, each time a vaccine is introduced, the disease decreases. Or sometimes we have actually managed to eradicate smallpox. And you know now we have eradicated polio in the whole world. Africa, Nigeria was the last country. We have managed to eradicate polio through vaccination. So vaccination does work. It's not a new thing. But that does not stop people from asking questions. People should ask questions, and your questions are genuine and we value them. You should ask those questions. If you've got any question today, I urge you to ask those questions. My colleague here will go into the details. Over to you, my colleague, Dr. Shingai. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Brighton. I'm just going to talk a little bit about vaccine, what it actually is. And I do apologize to some people for which this is repetition or it may seem basic, but we have to cover from the basics just in case there's anybody in the audience who doesn't quite understand, because it's common to assume that while everything is in the media, it makes sense, but sometimes it may not make sense. So I'm going to try and be as basic as possible just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. So with regards to vaccine, what is a vaccine and how does it work? So essentially what a vaccine is it's a method of teaching the body to fight an infection. So it's a method of priming the immune system. So when children are born and they've not been exposed to much bacteria or much microorganisms, as they grow and they get older, they start to build up an immune system because they get those infections, and then the immune system learns. So in a similar way, a vaccine is sort of introducing something that alerts the immune system to fight. And so that's what essentially a vaccine is. So there's different types of vaccines. Dr. Braxton, if you could just scroll down for me. In fact, before I go on to what different types of vaccines, I'm just going to briefly cover what's actually contained within the vaccine. So the majority of things that are in the vaccine are things to preserve it, to make sure that it supports the actual active ingredient, as with many products. So there's water, there's preservatives, there's also some residual traces of other things. And then there is the actual active ingredient, which is usually a very, very small amount. And so this is what I'm going to talk about when I just expand a little bit more on the different types of the vaccine. So if we could just go on to the next slide for me. So types of vaccine then, as my colleague mentioned, we have a lot of experience with different types of vaccines over the years that we've accepted a lot without questioning, actually. And I think it has something to do with the natural progression of the diseases that we've had to be vaccinated for. Things such as polio, things such as measles, they've not been as rapidly transmissible and as fast progressing as, let's say, COVID or infectious diseases such as SARS. So the reception has been totally different. However, the way that they work is the same, actually. So there's different types of vaccine. So there's, if you look at the slide, you can see that it branches into two. So on the left, there is the whole agent vaccine. And then on the right is the subunit vaccine. So a whole agent vaccines is when you take, so there's the main types is the whole agent which is killed, or the whole agent which is weakened. So an example of an inactivated vaccine, which is they take the actual microorganism and then they kill it and then they inject it. And the reason being, it can still stimulate the immune system, and the immune system reacts by producing antibodies such that when the actual organism then presents itself, the immune system is already pre-prepared or pre-primed to fight the infection. So examples of inactivated type of vaccines are like the polio vaccine or the rabies vaccine. And then you've got weakened type of vaccines. This is where, they take the actual microorganism and then they basically weaken it. So you're still getting the organism in itself, but it's a weakened version. And so an example of that is the measles. So MMR vaccine, that's the measles, mumps and rubella vaccine. Another type is the yellow vaccine, is also a type of a weakened vaccine. And again, you know, these are things that people have been receiving freely without question. You want to travel to somewhere in South America, you go and get the yellow vaccine without question. But somehow when it comes to COVID, everybody is really stressing themselves trying to understand, you know, what type of vaccine is it? It's doing this, it's doing that to my actual DNA, but actually that's not correct. So when you go on to the other types of vaccines, the subunit vaccine. So these are where you actually take a part of the microorganism, either a part of the proteins that bind, or a part of the envelope that contains the genetic material. So it's a small part of the actual microorganism or its proteins. And then that's what you inject. So examples of those are things such as hepatitis B. A lot of us are healthcare workers, or even in the care industry, or even other professions actually, where you could potentially be at risk of blood-borne injuries. We've had the hepatitis B vaccine. We've even been given booster shots. We've gone 5 years later to get booster shots. That's an example of a subunit vaccine. And also meningococcus, again, that is a common one that especially children get vaccinated against at a younger age, or people who have got a weakened immune system get those as well. Other types of vaccine which are not on the screen, but I think are important to mention, are toxin type vaccines. So this is where you take what the microorganism itself produces, such as tetanus. Tetanus is a toxin type vaccine, and we tend to get those. And then other types of vaccine as well are what's called a viral vector vaccine, which is what the AstraZeneca vaccine is, the AstraZeneca COVID vaccine. This is where you take a microorganism that is potentially harmless, and then you use it to code for the genetic material. You use it to code for the protein that will be resembling the COVID vaccine, and that's what primes the immune system. And then and the final type is the RNA vaccine, which is the Pfizer type vaccine. So what this is, essentially it's like a part of the genetic material which instructs the coding of a protein that's going to stimulate the immune system. So those are the main types of vaccines, and that's how they work. So if you have any questions, again, if there's any part that's not clear, then feel free to ask in the comment section if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Over to you, Dr. Brighton.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shingai, for such a splendid explanation of the types of vaccines. I think this is where people were very hesitant about which type of vaccines. And you've actually managed to explain it quite clearly and telling us that vaccines have been with us and they've actually helped us. Some of us, we are alive today because of vaccines. When you look at vaccine acceptance, there are people who accept vaccines on the green part. They accept vaccines without any problems. Some of us, we are like that. We just take vaccines because every year we get flu vaccine. And also, as Dr. Shingai has said, we get vaccinated against hepatitis B and we get boosters. And we don't even think about it because we know they do work. And there's no question of thinking that they want to kill me or they want to poison me. We accept that. That's fine. But there are some people who accept vaccines, but they've got a bit of doubt. And there are other people who say, we have to wait. That is where the dilemma that some people have. But now we want to ease off that dilemma that, okay, you should now look at, okay, Dr. Shingai has had his vaccine. Dr. Chireka has had his vaccine. So many people have had their vaccines. So what are you waiting for? If you're one person that was waiting to see whether these people will tend to be chimpanzees, will start going mad, will start losing their mind, we're still here. We have not lost our minds and we're not going to lose our minds. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that some of those fears that we had, 26 million people have been vaccinated in the United Kingdom. So we are talking of a population that is more than Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, we've got 16 million or so people. But in the United Kingdom, we have vaccinated 26 million. It means we have vaccinated more than, by 10 more million, more than in Zimbabwe. But if you look at worldwide, more than 200 million people have been vaccinated using different vaccines. So in terms of safety of these vaccines, I don't think there's any issue now, because we know that they do work. But we do have some people who are on the red part where they would call them vaccine deniers. We respect them. We don't say anything bad about those people. It's expected. Some people have been even refusing BCG. Some people have been even refusing measles vaccination. They are there. And we have seen people that have got polio, that have had polio because they do refuse it. But today, we are talking to those people that have got questions and they want to go into the green zone. So we'll help you to do that. But we're not going to change you if it is on principle, you are keen, you don't want to get the vaccine. We respect that. But let's have a discussion. When it comes to vaccine acceptance, people, we talk of 3 C's, complacence, confidence, and convenience. And I just want to talk about complacence. We hear people saying that COVID does not exist, COVID is a hoax. I think those people that say that, they've never went in a hospital or they've never lost a loved one. Some of us, if you talk to Dr. Shinga, who is in the hospital, we have seen people struggling to breathe. We have seen people in ICU, people in coma, people not able to talk. You cannot talk that COVID does not exist. For some of us, we have lost our loved ones. And for some of you, we have lost your loved ones. When someone talks about that this disease does not exist, it is painful, it is actually an insult. So to us, some of us, what we know now is COVID is real, COVID kills, COVID does not respect any people. So when we come to confidence, we know people lose trust in their health systems, in their doctors, in their governments, and we do understand that and we do appreciate that. And some people would say, why were we not being given protective equipment? Why were we neglected? Why are we not being paid good salaries? Why are you focusing on giving vaccines on Black people on that? I think those things are mistrust, suspicion, and also misconception. Right now, if you look at it, the people that have been vaccinated are more white people that have been vaccinated. So the issue of saying that they want to take Black people, Africans as guinea pig, does not hold water, because we are actually a minority. A few of us have been vaccinated. So I think now what we now need to do is to critique whatever we are saying. Let's have confidence, ask questions and get answers. When we look at convenience barriers for those in the United Kingdom or worldwide, the good thing is that the vaccine is free of charge. No one is being charged. You don't have to pay to get this vaccine. And this vaccine, they are opening the centers from 8 to 8, Monday to Sunday. So you cannot say, oh, I'm at work Monday to Friday, I cannot get the vaccine because I'm working. The vaccine is available nearer to your home. That's why you find that in the mosques, temples, and all those places, they're actually becoming vaccination centers. Why are they making it that way? Because they want to make sure that it is convenient. There's no barrier for you to not get the vaccine. We have never seen vaccination being rolled out in such a way. Why is it being rolled out in such a way? So that people don't have any excuses. Because there are those who are in business of misleading people. What people might not know is that those that are against the vaccine, there's a reason why they are against the vaccines. Because when they tell you not to go for vaccines, they start selling you multivitamins, they start selling you supplementary foods and tell you that you want to boost your immunity. They start telling you multivitamin tablets. It's a business. So when people don't understand that, they are also being hoodwinked into false reassurance to say, if you take these stem cells, and when people don't understand what is a stem cell, you cannot eat a stem cell. If you are eating anything, it's food supplement. Stem cells is something that you have to, as to be injected or something. But if you find yourself getting stem cells being sold in a plastic and you can eat stem cells, then you just need to go and check your biology and read what is a stem cell. So if you are thinking you are eating stem cells, you are not eating stem cells, you are just eating sadza in a different form. For those of us who know what is sadza in Africa. So there's genuine concern that people raise about safety. But so far I would say to you, safety is no longer a big issue. We have seen politics taking place with AstraZeneca. My colleague will also talk to about it. AstraZeneca vaccine being attacked on causing DVT, deep vein thrombosis. But when you look at the figures, you just realize that it's politics at play. I like it because when people scrutinize a vaccine, and then after scrutinizing it, and then also give it another reassurance, it shows that things are not being taken lightly. But I just want people to reflect. How much scrutiny do you put to a bottle of Coca-Cola that you drink every day? Do you know the contents of that bottle of Coca-Cola that you drink every day? And I would bet most of us, we don't know the contents of that Coca-Cola, but we drink it happily every day. So sometimes we just need to be very careful that we do not blackmail these vaccines, yet we take things without even questioning. So this is just to show you how people were likely to take the vaccines, how they were thinking about taking the vaccines. You can see France, very hesitant. UK, it seems people were keen to take the vaccine. Some of the reasons why people were not keen to take the vaccines is that I do not think the vaccine are not safe enough. But today I want to say that dilemma should be answered. You have got 26 million that has been vaccinated. What more number, how large a number do you want? Are you aware that most of the drugs that we use for cancer would have been tested on 50 or 70 people only, or even 100 people? And then we use those drugs. So we have got vaccination that has been tried on 1,000 people. Now it has been rolled out on 1 million people, but we are still hesitant. It shows that sometimes where we are not fully informed. So to me, for those that have got questions today, the dilemma should not be there because we now have data, we now have more information. If you're concerned about side effects, we'll talk about that. So some people just say, I reject vaccination on principle, and we respect that. We don't have any problems with you. That's your right. Of course, vaccine hesitance has been an issue that we continue to talk about.
So can I just say something, Dr. Brighton, while you're on the slide? I just wanted to say, I think for some of the audience, they may relate to, or they may recall, just going back into the 90s, I think some of the mistrust, it emanates from back in the 90s when there were a number of medications that were tried out in Africa, particularly, for example, some antiretroviral medications, and then even going back in the 70s, if we've got people in the audience who can relate to that, we even had contraceptions that were tried out in Africa. And the issues that were at play then were the fact that there was not proper informed consent. And some of the problems, these are some of the barriers, I guess, when it comes to dealing with nations in Africa, because sometimes they're not fully set up with the right infrastructure to support clinical trials. And also sometimes, especially in the more rural areas, people are more vulnerable to exploitation because they're likely to not have full understanding or good health education to consent properly. So in essence, it then does not become proper informed consent. And so when we talk about trials, usually you've got in trial, you're comparing the actual drug in question and to either nothing or to another drug. So it means that some people get the drug and it means that some people don't. And when I mentioned the whole HIV issue, at the time then people didn't understand that some people were getting the drug and some people were not. So it meant that even being part of the trial, those that were getting something, the placebo, they believed that they were getting something, but then they eventually were able to still transmit the HIV because the placebo was not a drug. So essentially, some of the mistrust then comes from the fear that it's either experimental medicine or no medicine at all because of poverty. But actually, those fears should not exist anymore, or they should be at least alleviated by the fact that we now have lots of regulatory bodies. We now have international bodies and devised codes of conduct for ethics, for conducting experience and clinical trials. So it's not quite, the same as it was back then. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of health education. So even for those in the rural areas who may not be as literate or may not be as educated, there are bodies that stand up for them. There are bodies that would then look into any of those things. And certainly clinical trials are potentially not as conducted in parts of Africa as we would like, because again, we're not quite as where the first world is. But then things are better. It's not as much as it was in the 90s. So I just thought I'd say that point, that actually, there was a lot of mistrust from back then because of things that happened and people not being well informed, but that's changed a lot in this day and age.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shingai, for that. And actually, the Tuskegee trial and all what has happened in the past has actually made us to be more vigilant, to be more critical, to also ask questions. So for us, we have asked questions, we have looked at the data, and what we are finding is that there is nothing to worry now because of what we have found. And what we don't want is people to abuse our history, to abuse our past, and actually cause problems for us to move forward. We know that vaccines do work. We know that in the past, things have not been done well. And if you remember the Tuskegee trial, the president of America then, President Clinton, did apologize in the 90s about what happened with the Tuskegee trial. And there are now ethics for research. If you ask people who carry out research how difficult it is now to get ethical approval, these are checks and balances that are put in place. So an interesting question that people always ask, and this has been coming in all the platforms that we have been talking about, does mRNA vaccine affect my DNA? By being vaccinated, am I going to, my DNA, is it going to be altered? Some people are going to the extent of saying they're going to harvest your DNA. Some people are going to the extent of that the vaccine is 666. We've got our pastors who are going to explain to that, ask about that. Some people are going to the extent of that they are putting a chip to track your movement, to monitor you. So all these things are coming from the social media. We want to address them today, and we will address them and put more questions in the chat box. So the quick biology about DNA, and my colleagues also chip in, quick about DNA and mRNA. I want you to imagine the cell as having one outer circle and one inner circle. The inner circle is where the nucleus is, and that's where your DNA is. And then the outer circle is where the cytoplasm is, and then that's when you've got ribosomes, which produce proteins. So when you get an mRNA, in normal circumstances, is that the DNA send the mRNA, it goes into the ribosomes and it produces proteins, which helps in cell growth and all for us to function and grow. But now when you introduce the mRNA vaccine, it comes with a component of the virus, and it goes into the ribosome, which is outside the nucleus, which is in the cytoplasm. So it goes in there, and then it instructs the ribosomes to make proteins. When the proteins are made, these are proteins which will be made when the virus attacks you. So when the body sees that, it then fights it, and then it has got memory cells, as explained already by Dr. Shingai about immunity. And then that mRNA vaccine will just disintegrate in a few days and goes away. It does not go into the nucleus. It does not get near your DNA. So that's how I wanted to make it clear. So when people talk about that aspect, I don't know whether Dr. Shingai want to say anything about that.
No, I think you've explained it well.
Thank you very much. Okay. So in terms of clinical trials, just want to quickly talk about, people are asking genuine questions to say, why is it that it takes some years to have vaccines? And why is it that this time around we have got a vaccine much quicker? And I like it. It is a good thing to ask that question. I want to take people back to the Tuskegee trial. The Tuskegee trial, the reason why we are angry, the reason why we lost trust with the researchers is because when penicillin was discovered in 1951, and penicillin treats syphilis, instead of them treating people with penicillin, they said, let the research continue so that we see the effects of untreated syphilis. Let us see what happens when we don't treat syphilis. And they waited and waited. And I hear people today, without knowing, they are using the same argument to say, let us wait for these vaccines to be tested for 20 years so that we know whether they work. And what we are saying is it's unethical, it's immoral, it's illegal to wait when you've seen that the vaccine works. So this is what has happened. The vaccines like Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, they've been found to work. So you don't have to wait for years and years when people are dying. Look at how many people have died in the United Kingdom. Over 120,000 people have died. Look how many people have died in the whole world. Over 1 million people have died. So we cannot wait and say, let's continue researching and finding out what will happen after 10 years, after 15 years. We may not be alive for the next 2 years. We could be wiped. We have lost our relatives. So I thought I should mention that when people use the Tuskegee and then also not understanding that the reason why we are angry about Tuskegee, that they waited for years when a cure was found. So we don't want to wait for years when we know that these vaccines are working. So that's why we are using these vaccines under emergency use authorization, EUA, emergency use authorization, because they are seen and they are found to work. So these are the phases that you go through a clinical trial. So one thing that people should understand, coronavirus is not something new. It was not only known about in 2019, no, but the strain that has been known is the new one, but that strain is 70% similar to the coronavirus that has been there in around 2002, the SARS, the MERS, and all that, the pandemic that we have had. So it has been known. And the research has been going on every day. So when the genetic makeup of this virus was known, China quickly shared the genotype type of the genome of the virus with the world. And everyone in the world put their heads together. Monies were donated. In normal research, pharmaceutical companies, what they have to do, they have to seek money, go through several boards, do one research, stage one, and when the results come out, they go and convince shareholders invest, they go to the second phase, shareholders, and even just getting people to volunteer to come on the trial, it's difficult. But in this particular incident, people were in lockdown, people volunteered, they had more people than they needed. And also they had more money than they needed. And some of the bureaucracy, red tapes were actually fast-tracked because it can take you 6 months to get ethical approval, but they got it quickly. It can also take you a lot of time even to get emergency use authorization. It got it quickly. So all these things were happening faster. But when people don't, if these things are not explained to people, people become skeptical. So I thought I should just spend a bit of time to explain about that. So it's just talking about how these things have been. So now I just want to tell, for those people that are still hesitant, if this data has changed, if I'd gone to get the one for today, you'll be pleasantly surprised. In the whole world, on the 25th of February, 227 people had been vaccinated. And in Zimbabwe, about 11,000 had been vaccinated. But I know now there are more than 35,000 people that have been vaccinated. In the United Kingdom, it was 19 million, but now we know it's 26 million. So what I'm trying to show you is that we have got data. What more do we need when we've got 227 people that have been vaccinated? So in terms of safety, I would say these vaccines are safe now. We can safely accept them. So this is one other thing that let's now go home. The people that are giving you these vaccines are not being taken from the street. These are people that are being trained. I'm a vaccinator myself. I had to be trained, even if I'm a doctor, you had to be trained. My colleagues in the hospital, they also had to be trained to give these vaccines, to look for any adverse effects. So now getting vaccinated, if we have managed to convince you or managed to give you, to remove that dilemma, if you want to get vaccinated, wherever, which country you are, be it Zimbabwe, Uganda, South Africa, United Kingdom, there are procedures that are followed. I want to make one thing clear. Vaccination is not for everyone in the first place. Vaccination is prioritized. That's why there are categories that they use. So you'll be first. In Zimbabwe, they're starting with frontline staff, health workers, and all those that are working with the public before anyone else. In the United Kingdom, we started with those that are in the nursing homes and those that work in the nursing homes, and we went to those that work in hospitals and health facilities, and also we went to those that are above 75, above 70, above 60, and then also those with underlying medical problems like diabetes, asthma. And then the question that people ask, should I take the vaccine when I've got diabetes, HIV, blood pressure? And I would say you are the one that need to take it more because you are in the high risk category. So your underlying medical condition is not anything that should stop you from having the vaccine. So I would say, yes, you need to have the vaccine. The good thing that people should understand, this vaccine is not by force, is not by coercion, it's voluntary. You have to give an informed consent. What is an informed consent? Is whereby we explain like what we're doing, we have explained everything, and now you make a decision voluntarily, not anyone holding a gun at you. And then also you must be somebody who can give capacity. If you're somebody with learning challenges or with other conditions that makes you not make that make you not have mental capacity, then there will be some people who can be your advocates. So I will leave my colleague to comment about any from here, some more points, Dr. Shina.
At this stage, no, I don't have anything to add. We can proceed.
Okay. So this is AstraZeneca, which is a drug, a vaccine that I want to spend more time about. AstraZeneca, it's a vaccine that is cheap. It's costing $3. Other vaccines are costing $21. So you have to understand that in the world where there is a competition, a vaccine that is being sold at cost price may suffer some challenges. And also it's good for people to question and ask if there's any link between the vaccine and any side effects. So far, we have had countries in Europe challenging vaccine, AstraZeneca, and we found that even all the scientists in Europe, UK, World Health Organization were saying it is okay, but they wanted also the scientists to go on the drawing board to also look at the data and come up with a statement. They did that on Thursday. They came up with a statement, and most countries now, they've started rolling out the vaccine. Well, it's good to criticize, but it's also difficult in some people who become hesitant because of that. So we have to be, it's a balance of the two. So in terms of side effects, many of us that have had vaccination, we have found that, to be honest, the side effects are nothing to write home about. Either headache, tiredness, muscle pain, joint pain, or redness on the side. In most cases, I had my first vaccine, second dose, no symptoms. My wife had her first jab, no symptoms. So to me, but I know some people that have had headache, that have felt pain, but so far I would safely say no one has had anaphylactic shock whereby you had to be rushed to the hospital, you can't breathe and all that. No, we have not had anyone so far. And with those millions that we are vaccinating, we are getting more and more confident about these vaccines. So the AstraZeneca is the same side effects again. So one thing that we need people to know is, if you get any side effects, do not ignore them. If you just pains, fever, you can manage with paracetamol. Any severe anaphylactic shock or reaction like swelling of the mouth, lips, and breathing problems, call 999. But the good thing is that most of these symptoms would happen within the first 15 minutes. And with Pfizer, we ask you to wait for 15 minutes whilst we are observing you. And then with AstraZeneca, there's no problem, you can go. So far, no problems as well.
There have been some concern recently in the public or in the media around AstraZeneca causing blood clots, or there being a link with AstraZeneca vaccine causing blood clots. But so that's been looked into, and actually any of those associations have not been substantiated. So first of all, the numbers of the blood clots that have been reported in the people who've received the AstraZeneca vaccine, they've not been a lot. They've been around, so looking at the report from the MHRA, the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, the number of clot events that have been reported are actually 22. So 22 for lung clot and 15 for leg clot. So that's DVT and pulmonary embolism. So looking at those numbers in the millions that have been vaccinated, it is not actually considered to be an increased risk. And actually, when those patients were looked at closely and scrutinized, some of them already had predisposing factors that would mean that they're more likely to get a clot rather than it being the vaccine in itself. So those concerns have not been substantiated at all. And so I just wanted to emphasize that point, because I think, you know, that's something that has caused a bit of anxiety as well about whether or not this vaccine will be causing, will be likely to cause them clot. You know, put the vaccine aside as well. When you look at the prevalence of, or the incidence of DVT or a lung clot in the general population without any vaccine included, the numbers are comparable. And in fact, they are less than the incidence in the general population. So that means that actually you can't make a causative association between that, because if it's development in somebody who's not got a COVID vaccine is more than its development in somebody who's got a COVID vaccine, it doesn't mean that the COVID vaccine has increased the risk.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shinga, for that. I think it's good to make sure that we clarify all those concerns, and there are genuine concerns among people. And we like when these things are scrutinized and we get answers. Thank you very much for that, because it makes clear. There are some of the questions that we got from people before this, we came online. Some people were asking, can I get the vaccine if I had COVID? The answer is yes, you should have a vaccine even if you have had COVID. Why? There are a few things. The reason why we recommend you to have that. One, we don't know how long your natural immunity will last that you have had from the first the infection. Two, we know that not everyone become immune after having COVID. Some people may not have immunity, so we know that. And also the other thing is that you may be immune to one strain, so you may not be immune to other strains. So that's why it's very important to get the vaccine, because the vaccine that we are going to be continuing to get are going to be determined depending on what strains are in the community. The scientists are working very hard for identifying new variants, and they do tweak their vaccines to be effective on any of the new strains. So that's why we say, yes, get vaccinated. Can I get vaccinated if I'm pregnant? Yes. The good thing is that when this, when research is being done, first of all, you exclude pregnant women, you exclude children, because that's why it's done there for ethical reasons, because what you don't want is to now jeopardize the mom and the baby when you're doing research. Since this medication are being used on emergency use authorization, what it means that the research initially had not been done on pregnant women or on children. But we know now they are doing research on children, it's going on. And the good thing that has happened in Pfizer or AstraZeneca, there were some people that went on to become pregnant and also gave birth quite well. About 28 people were actually gave birth, and there were no problems. And the Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecology looked at also on vaccination backwards, and they found that vaccination has never caused any problems in pregnancy. Actually, we advise people to be vaccinated. So that is why it is recommended that you should get vaccinated. And I know men are concerned about infertility. Does the vaccine cause me infertility? One thing that I want people to understand is that having COVID is being found that it does reduce your sperm count, and also is associated with infertility, having COVID. So to me, if I weigh my risk and my benefit, if I get COVID, it affects my infertility. So if I'm worried about infertility, I would be rushing to go and get the vaccine. And also we know the vaccine does not affect your fertility. So those who are worried about that, that's your answer. People would ask, oh, can I get this vaccine if I've got underlying problems? The answer is yes. I've already answered that. If you are trying for a baby, the answer is yes. Am I protected against new strains coming? This is where people are getting worried. But what people should understand, the new strains are not affecting 100%. Even in Zimbabwe and South Africa, where they've got these new strains, it's affected about 64 or 60%, but 40% of the people who are the old strain. So I would say go and get the vaccine. Another thing that people should also understand, it does not mean that the vaccine are useless when it comes to the new strain. The vaccine, they may reduce their effectiveness, but in terms of admission into hospital or death, they are still really good. So I would say get the vaccine regardless of whatever strain is there, because when you look at the data about mortality, about death, the vaccines are still doing better. I would take a vaccine if it's giving me 50% protection than having nothing. I would go for that. So that's where people should understand there's nothing in life that is 100% protective. Most of the things that we take will be 70, 80%. So if this vaccine is actually effective, 40%, 30%, I would go and take it, because that protection that I'm getting, it's really good. I've answered this one. Will the vaccine or affect your DNA? No. Well, I'll leave the pastors to talk about the 666 and also, is there any chip? So you may want to ask me, Dr. Chireka, you are talking about the vaccines. Have you had your vaccine yourself? The answer is, I thought about it. I questioned the science. I also looked at the Bible, and all what I got was that vaccines are effective, they are helping, and I did that to protect myself, to protect my family, to protect my patients, and to protect the population at large. Over to you, Dr. Shingai.
I have also received my COVID vaccine. I also had the AstraZeneca. Unfortunately, during the preparation of the slides, I wasn't able to submit my own card, but I did take the vaccine as well, and I believe in its effectiveness. I believe that we are better off with it. As Dr. Brighton said, even if it's offering, a certain percentage of, improving your immune system's chance of fighting, then I would rather that than nothing at all. So I definitely believe in the vaccine, and I would advocate for people getting it.
So that brings the session to an end in terms of presenting to you. We thought we could give you a presentation so that we can cover most of the questions, but now it's over to you. Ask any questions. You've got two doctors here. We will be able to answer your questions. If we don't know the answers, we'll be honest with you. We'll go back and look for that information for you. But we hope that today we can answer your 99% of your questions tonight, this evening. So over to you, Pastor Meiji. Thank you very much for the platform, and keep up the good work that you are doing under Zima. It is really good when the religious community also comes up and also engage in this discussion. Thank you very much for this platform. We don't take it lightly. And thank you very much, everyone who has joined and who is joining. Continue sharing this video, because you never know, it will save lives. If it can save one person's life, me and Dr. Shingai, we've done our job, and Zima has done a great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Brighton and Dr. Shingai, for such a delivery. It equips us. You see, the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge, not because of demons, but lack of knowledge. And we want to appreciate you for sparing your time in your busy schedules to come today and give the experience and the knowledge that you have invested in so many years. We thank you for the gift that you are to us and to the community that God has placed you in. Yeah, so I was listening to the presentations that both of you did, and some of the questions that I thought I was going to ask, you were answering the questions before I even had an opportunity to ask those questions. And thank you very much for doing that. What we're going to do is I asked my colleague Hartness to be gleaning some questions that might come on different platforms, because we are on Zoom, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, and he was doing that for me. I wonder whether there are any other questions that are outside those that you have already addressed that he has managed to capture. So Hartness, if you have any questions that you have managed to capture, you could kindly help me so that our doctors will answer those questions. And I know you threw a question and you said, I will leave the time to the pastors. You didn't want us to go home without getting really involved and getting deep into this. We have our colleague, Dr. Sunday. It might not be the question that you have asked him, but I want to give this time to Dr. Sunday just to address a few thoughts from a biblical perspective as far as pandemics and these plagues are concerned. Do we have any record in the Word of God where God spoke to his people, or his people dealt with a particular pandemic? How did they posture themselves? Did they just say, I don't believe it, I'm not going to do it? Or how did they position themselves from the word of God? So over to you, Dr. Sunday, just for your thoughts as far as this is concerned.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and also for the question. I think the starting point that we also need to appreciate is that plagues are not new. In the Bible, we have got many instances where we find plagues. They could be coming with different names to viruses and bacteria. As you know, the Bible is progressive. Knowledge is developing. The Bible is a spiritual book. At times, it would not describe in terms of the names that we have today. But the Bible is full of examples of plagues and diseases that were very challenging. I can cite quite a number of them, including a number of them that we find in the Word of God. For example, if you look in the book of Exodus, if you look in the book of Numbers, if you look in the book of Revelation, these are very common. So the Bible is also warning the people that there are plagues that happens. And in terms of a common disease of leprosy, I think most of us were aware it's very common in the Bible. And also the Bible, through the wisdom of God, I would rather say, the way of dealing with this disease, not necessarily with the vaccine jabs that we have today, but they would quarantine people for a number of days. And we also see the Bible teaching that in some instances, people were supposed to, they were supposed to also be certified by the priest, so that they are recorded as healed in terms of those plagues or bacteria or viruses. So the Bible is also a book which shows that in a number of times, or in some times, the world or the people can be affected with these pandemics that we have today. So it's very common in the Word of God, and through the wisdom and development of knowledge, we begin to see that information is increasing in the Word of God, and we are happy where we are today. And we as religious leaders, we believe that God is also working through the signs that we have today. Personally, I also had my vaccine, for your own information. I believe in divine healing as well, but I was jabbed the AstraZeneca kind of jab. I'm still okay. I prayed to God before the jab, and I knew God was working through medical attention. So I'm just here to say, Pastor Dave, these things are there, but we also believe in a God who is using science. We need to mirror the two. We need to marry science and faith to work for the good. I'm a preacher. I'll stop for now.
Thank you, Dr. Sunday. Thank you for such a presentation, profound and brief. You normally take time, but I don't know how you did it. The Spirit of the Lord is upon you today. Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. So yeah, we find plagues and pandemics in the Word of God, and rightly, like you showed there, you revealed there, God has always been there to be the help of his people. People like Elisha would also receive instructions from God. If there is death in the pot, you would come up with a solution. Hey, put some millimil in the pot. You deal with the death in the pot. So thank you very much for your perspective. I'm still waiting for Harkness, whether you have any other question. Like I said earlier on, the presentation from the doctors was so profound and clear that some of the questions that we actually had written down, we can't ask them because they've been answered already. So if they have been answered, then that's what we were looking for, so that we go back home to our places of work, to our places of worship, wherever we normally spend our time, well informed. So over to you, Hartness. Do you have any questions that have come to you?
No, Dave. I think as you've acknowledged, the presentation was quite comprehensive. I know Brighton and Shinga have done these presentations, and I suppose you have gathered a lot of general questions and incorporated them into the presentation. So nothing actually has come as an unanswered question. So thank you very much for that sterling presentation. No questions, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, so let me take this time to appreciate our esteemed guests. Dr. Chireka, you've been amazing. That's profound. Dr. Shinga, the delivery and the knowledge. We are proud that we call you a sister and we call you a brother. That's when everybody wants to be identified with you because of the blessing that you are to our community and to our generation. So we really appreciate you. We don't take you for granted, and the time that you have set aside to come and be a blessing to us, to equip us, to inform us, to make us have a good footing and a good standing as far as what is happening is concerned. It gives us confidence to go ahead and move ahead with life, making informed decisions. So thank you ever so much. And Dr. Sunday, for leaving everything and just be there in case these questions come. You did a great job that you just dropped in some nuggets. I know it could be a session where you come and teach about that and eschatology, the doctrine of the end times, and you teach about that on a particular session. I know there are people that want to hear you more on the end times because everybody is scared about the end times. And of course, Jesus is coming back again. So thank you ever so much. And Hartness, thank you for running around behind the scenes and putting the program together. And our media team, thank you ever so much. The tech guys that are in the background, we don't see you, but we see the quality of the work that you are doing. In particular, mention goes to Enoch. Thank you very much. Dr. Ngwiza his face did not show today, but thank you very much. We were planning together for this meeting. I appreciate your wisdom and your knowledge. Thank you very much. Our chairman, Pastor Anthony Tembo, thank you very much for the vision, for where we are going. I can see where Zima is going to impact our generation, to impact our people so that we become better in every aspect of calling that we might undertake. So because there are no questions, we might as well finish here. And I can't end this meeting without thanking everyone that has been on Facebook, everyone on YouTube that has been with us. It is you guys that make such meetings profitable and beneficial because you plug in and you chip in so that we go forward. Thank you ever so much. And this information that we have received, let's also share with other people. Let's share the broadcast. Let's distribute it widely so that everybody benefits from it. And before we finish, I want to give time to Hartness. Again, Hartness, you could give us some updates about where Zima is going and make the announcement again. We still need people with different expertise to come and work alongside so that this work can go to the next level and the vision comes to pass. Thank you very much. Over to you, Hartness.
Thank you, Dave. for those who might be hearing this for a second time, I do apologize. With this being a live broadcast, there's a chance that some people have actually joined while the broadcast has already started. Obviously, ZIMA is an association for ministers in the UK with Zimbabwean heritage. Started sometime last year and is developing and it's going well. Is there to promote the ministerial profession. And the main message from me today is that as we are building our structures, we are looking for people with Zimbabwean heritage who have some specific skills. We have some departments within ZIMA that we are building, and one of them is health and well-being. So if you are a health expert, a health manager, and you want to offer your skills to this body, we want you to get in touch with us. We're also looking for people with administrative skills. We are building an administrative department. As you can imagine, you need that department to get things going. Another department is governance and compliance, which comes with various elements to it. We're also promoting entrepreneurship within the body of ministers. I mean, a good number of them are already entrepreneurs in one form or another. So if you are in business, if you are an entrepreneur, we would like you to come and share your skills and be part of what's happening in ZIMA. And the other area is education, research, development, and education. As I said before, it doesn't have to be theological education. It's any experience in higher education and research, because we want to promote research within this organization. I mean, some of us are already established researchers, but we want to actually build a body of research. So this is all from me. I'm gonna hand back to the moderator who is going to close this session. And again, thank you all of you who've managed to join and be part of what we are doing today. And we do have a webinar coming, just keep an eye. A month ago, we had a webinar on diaspora churches in the UK, and we had a panel of expert theologians who were discussing that topic. It was quite popular, and people have said they wanted a second part to it. Yes, they did present the challenges of ministry within the UK, and people were asking about how the practicalities of how to mitigate those challenges. So keep an eye on that. It's going to come out. The flyer will be out shortly, and we would really like you to keep connecting with us. Back to you, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so we have come to the end of this webinar. Once again, thanks to everyone, our panelists, and everyone that tuned in today. We are going to meet again on our next webinar as soon as the flyer is out, the information goes out. Invite people, as many people as possible, to come and be equipped, because this is a ministry platform where we are equipping, we are challenging each other to be better in what we do. So thank you ever so much. We have come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you and God bless you.